අද්විතීය 200 Mbps ස්පීඩ් එකකින් ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ වේගවත්ම සහ පුළුල්තම හෝම් බ්‍රෝඩ්බෑන්ඩ් සම්බන්ධතාවය වන SLT මොබිටෙල් දේශීය ෆයිබර් බලවේගය ඔබත් අදම අත්විඳින්න.
හරිම සුදුයි.
Tonight on First at 9, this Sunday the 18th of June 2023. Yes to anti-corruption. Justice Minister confirms Supreme Court determinations for the AntiCorruption Bill have been adhered to, confident that it will be passed at second reading. E for enough. Kanchana assures adequate fuel stocks. No shortage of any petroleum products with more fuel to come in. Women Force. PM pledges complete commitment to ensuring gender equality and women empowerment.
Alliance Finance මෙතුරු රන්නයි සේවාවෙන් රන් පවුම්කට රුපියල් 1,70,000ක ඉහළ අධිකාරම.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟම ඇති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
This is AdaDerana First at 9, live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and a warm welcome to today's edition of AdaDerana's English News First at 9. Let's take a look at your top story. Acting Minister of Finance Shehan Semasinga says the anti-corruption bill will be presented to the Parliament within the next week. He confidently expects that no public representative would make objections to the bill. The minister emphasised that this will enhance Sri Lanka's credibility with regards to finance and enterprise as the country desperately continues to fight its way out of the economic crisis. He echoed these thoughts while addressing the media in Anuradhapura yesterday.
රටේ ජනතාව කතා කරා දූෂණය සහ වංචාව පිළිබඳ. ඒ අනුව ලබන සතියේ අපේ රටේ ඉතාම තීරණාත්මක යෝජනාවලිය පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ සම්මත වීමට නියමිතයි. අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා කිසිදු මහජන නියෝජිතයෙක් රජය ඉදිරිපත් කරන දූෂණ විරෝධී පනතට විරෝධතාවය ප්‍රකාශ කරන්නේ නැති වෙයි කියලා. මොකද මේ රටේ ආර්ථික වර්ධනයක් සිදු වෙනවා වගේම ගෝලීය වශයෙන් අපි විනිවිදභාවයක් තියෙන ඒ වගේම අක්‍රමකතාවලට විරුද්ධව කටයුතු කරන රජයක් සහ රටක් හැටියට අද නැවත අපිට නැගී සිටින්න පුළුවන් තත්ත්වයක් තියෙනවා. ඒ හින්දා ලබන සතියේ මේ පනත පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට අරගෙන එද්දි මේ දූෂණ විරෝධී පනත මම හිතනවා අපිට පුළුවන් වේවි ඒ කටයුත්ත ඉස්සරහට අරගෙන යන්න. මොකද මේ දූෂණ විරෝධී පනත් පවත්වාගෙන යාම ශක්තිමත්ව පවත්වාගෙන යාම රටක විනිවිදභාවය සහ රටක ව්‍යාපාර කිරීමේ පහසුව ඇති කිරීමටත් විශාල ලෙස ඵලදායීව බලපානවා.
Minister of Justice Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa is hopeful that the new anti-corruption bill, which has been drafted with adherence to the international standards, will help Sri Lanka eliminate corruption. Speaking to AdaDerana, the minister said that the new law comprises of a strict mechanism where constant checks and balances on the corruption will be conducted. The Sri Lankan government, in consultation with the International Monetary Fund, has drafted a piece of legislation that specifically addresses corruption vulnerabilities. The Presidential Secretariat confirms that this bill will be the best piece of legislation addressing anti-corruption in South Asia once passed in Parliament. The bill was tabled in Parliament by Justice Minister Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa. However, its second reading got delayed as several parties, including Transparency International Sri Lanka, filed petitions before the Supreme Court challenging the anti-corruption bill. Issuing its determination earlier this month, the Supreme Court said certain sections of the anti-corruption bill are inconsistent with the Constitution. The Supreme Court said these inconsistencies will cease if the amendments as set out in the determination of the Supreme Court are made to the bill. Speaking to AdaDerana, Minister of Justice Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa said that the necessary changes to the anti-corruption bill have been made per the Supreme Court's determination and will be presented to the Parliament for the second reading on the 21st of June.
People are really concerned about the level of corruption take place in this country, whereas some politicians as well as public officials are involved. And therefore, we have made the law keeping in line with the international standard. And accordingly, the commission, anti-corruption, existing commission will be repealed. Together with that plan, we have made provisions to repeal the Declaration of Assets and Liabilities, 1975 Act. that is not sufficient for the today's context, and therefore we have inserted the provisions for all the politicians as well as public officials to submit their declarations of assets and liabilities. Unlike in the previous law, in the present law that there will be a constant check and balance, and the powers had been vested in the new Anti-Corruption Commission. They are entitled to check the declarations given by respective parties at any time when there is a necessity or when there is a doubt about the accumulation of assets of certain officials and politicians. And also we have made provisions to safeguard the rights of whistleblowers. One of the weak point in our existing law is that in the hierarchy, when the top level people get involved in corruption, the lower level employees are reluctant to make complaints because they'll have to face serious repercussions in the event that they come to know some parties have given information. And therefore that we have made some safeguards for that purpose also. And also the Right to Information Act is already existing, and it has been recognized by the 19th Amendment as a fundamental right in the fundamental rights chapter in the Constitution. Therefore, it will be quite convenient for the people also to obtain necessary information to ascertain whether there had been some abuse of power or corruption in the public sector. Taking into consideration the level of corruption, of course, at times that there are many serious complaints, we do not know whether they are correct or not, but there is no proper machinery to ascertain whether they are true or false. But certainly that there are corruptions that nobody can deny. I am certain with these provisions, whereas that most of the developed countries are having similar provisions to our bill, and we also may be able to get over from this menace of corruptions, and invariably that will contribute to the national economy to a great extent.
Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara assures the public that there is no shortage of 95-octane stocks or any other petroleum products with the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and Lanka IOC. The minister tweeted the daily requirement of 95-octane petrol is about 80 to 100 metric tons island-wide, and confirmed that there are adequate stocks available at all filling stations. He further indicated that the next consignment of 9,000 metric tons of 95-octane petrol is due to arrive on the 22nd of June. However, he also mentioned that no fuel deliveries will be made on Sunday. According to Minister Wijesekara, details as per this morning for all plants were indicated as following. Diesel at 103,087 metric tons. Super diesel at 2,977 metric tons, 92-octane petrol at 53,632 metric tons, 95-octane petrol at 601 metric tons, and jet A1 fuel at 37,316 metric tons. Minister of Ports and Shipping and Aviation Nimal Siripala de Silva said he has approved a proposal which was presented to develop and expand the Jaffna International Airport in Palali. The minister confirms that steps will be taken to develop the airport within the next 4 months. Further, Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva said relevant officials were instructed to look into the possibility of expanding the runway of the Jaffna International Airport in order to increase airline operations in the airport.
Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation, Nimal Siripala de Silva, engaged in an inspection of the Jaffna International Airport in Palali yesterday in order to look into the steps which can be taken to increase airline operations of the airport. Following the inspection, it was revealed that the airport is unable to provide landing facilities to planes carrying more than 65 passengers. Further, relevant officials were instructed by the minister to implement necessary steps to extend the runway at the airport in order to overcome inconveniences caused to travellers.
මේ වෙනකොට මේ ගුවන් තොටුපළට මගින් 14,000කට අධික ප්‍රමාණයක් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා. මේ ගුවන් තොටුපළේ අපිට ගොඩ බාන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ මගින් 65ක් ගමන් ගන්නා ගුවන් යානා පමණයි. මීට වඩා විශාල මගින් ප්‍රමාණයක් ගෙනීමට ගුවන් යානා එනවා නම් අපිට මේ ධාවන පතය මීට වඩා දීර්ඝ කරන්න සිද්ධ වෙනවා. ධාවන පතය දීර්ඝ කිරීමේදී යම් ගැටලු හා ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා. අද දින යාපනයේ දිසාපතිතුමාත් ප්‍රාදේශීය ලේකම්තුමා ඇතුළු කණ්ඩායම සමග එකතු වෙලා මේ ගුවන් පතය දීර්ඝ කිරීම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය මූලික ඉඩම් පවරා ගැනීමට පුළුවන්ද කියන එක හොයලා බලන්න කියලා මම නියෝග කරා. මේ ධාවන පතේ දීර්ඝ කරොත් ඒ 320 විශාල ගුවන් යානා අපිට ගෙන එන්නට පුළුවන්. ඉතින් ඒ නිසා එහෙම ගෙන ආවොත් දැනට විශාල ඉල්ලුමක් තියෙනවා යාපනයේ සහ මදුරාසිය අතර මේ ගුවන් ගමන් සඳහා ජූලි මාසයේ දක්වා සියලුම ටිකට් විකිණලා අවසන් බව මට එලයන්ස් ගුවන් සමාගම කියලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒ නිසා තවත් ගුවන් සමාගම් එක දෙකට අපිට ආරාධනා කරන්න පුළුවන් වැඩිපුර ගුවන් ගමන් යාපනයට ආරම්භ කරන්න කියලා. දැනට තියෙන ගුවන් තොටුපළ යම් ආකාරයකින් වැඩි දියුණු කිරීම සඳහා හා එහි තියෙන ඉඩකඩ වැඩි කිරීම සඳහා යෝජනාවක් මට ඉදිරිපත් කරා රුපියල් මිලියන 160ක. මම මේ යෝජනාව අනුමත කරා. ඒ අනුව මාස 4ක් ඇතුළතදී මේ ගුවන් තොටුපළේ මේ කියන ජනතාවට ලැබෙන පහසුකම් වැඩි දියුණු කර කිරීම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය කටයුතු අපි කරනවා.
Assistant Leader of the United National Party, Akila Viraj Karyavasam, says that those who criticized President Ranil Wickremesinghe and the United National Party are now praising their policies following a turnaround in fortunes. Concurrently, Member of Parliament, the Samagi Jana Balawegaya Party, Kabir Hashim, stressed that people are clamouring for the need for elections. He further stated that going into the future, they will create a broad alliance.
විපක්ෂය දන්නවා රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මැතිතුමාගේ මේ යන වැඩපිළිවෙල සාර්ථක වුණොත් ඒගොල්ලන්ට බලයට එන්න බෑ කියලා. මේ බල අරගලයක් ඇති වෙලා තියෙනවා. රට ගැන හිතනවා නෙවෙයි, රටේ ජනතාව ගැන හිතනවා නෙවෙයි. ඒගොල්ලන් බලන්නේ කොහොම හරි මේ රට හරි තැනකට ගෙනියන පුද්ගලයාගේ කකුලෙන් ඇදලා ඒගොල්ලන් එතනට එන්නේ.
රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයාට තේරෙන්නේ නැද්ද දන්නේ මේ මිනිස්සු රටේ මිනිස්සු කියන්නේ ඡන්දයක් තියන්න කියලා. ඒක කරන්න ඉස්සර. ඒ නිසා අපි ඉස්සරහට සන්දානයක් හදනවා අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම. පුළුල් සන්දානයක්. සමගි ජන බලවේගය ඒකට නායකත්වය දෙනවා. සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මහත්මයා ඒකේ නායකත්වය දෙනවා.
දැන් පක්ෂ නැහැනේ කාටවත් අයිතිකාරෝ නැහැනේ. මොන පක්ෂයටද එහෙම ලොකු පදනමක් තියෙන කියන්න බලන්න. දැන් එදා රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්මයාට එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයට අපිට බැනපු අය පවා කියන මොනවා වුණත් මේ මිනිස්සු යන ප්‍රතිපත්තිය හරි කියලා. දැන් රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්මයා තනියම මේ ගේම් එක ගහගෙන යනවනේ. ඉස්සරහට තනි පක්ෂ විදිහට එන්නේ නැහැ. ඉස්සරහට මේ පක්ෂ ඔක්කොම එකතු වෙලා පුළුල් සන්දානයක් කරනවා. බ්‍රෝඩ් ඇලයන්ස් එකක් කරගන්න. රටට ආදරේ කණ්ඩායම සහ ඒකට විරුද්ධ කණ්ඩායම කියලා ඇලයන්ස් දෙකක් හැදෙන ඕන ලියලා තියාගන්න.
අපි අද රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ ජනාධිපතිතුමාට පාර්ලිමේන්තුව තුල දේශපාලන ස්ථාවරත්වය ඇති කර ගන්න සහයෝගය දෙන්නේ රට ශක්තිමත් විදියට ඉස්සරහට යන්න ඕනේ.
2 persons sustained injuries in a shootout which took place in Minuwangoda last night. The drive-by shooting resulted in both persons being admitted to the Gampaha General Hospital for treatment. Meanwhile, in Haldumulla, a youth was reported dead after falling off the Bambarakhanda Falls yesterday evening as he tragically slipped and fell whilst with his friends. With that, here's a look into the developments around the country in brief. 2 persons were reported injured after a shootout took place in Bastian Mawatha, Minuwangoda last night. According to the police, a group of unidentified individuals who arrived in a car had opened fire at the 2 victims who were reportedly on a motorcycle. The 2 injured individuals were admitted to the Gampaha District General Hospital following the incident. Meanwhile, a tragic death was reported from the Haldumulla area after a university student had slipped and fallen off the Bambarakhanda Falls last evening. The 25-year-old youth who was a student at the University of Peradeniya had slipped and fallen off the waterfall. The incident took place during a trip with his friends. The main suspect connected to the murder which took place in Palavatta last Friday was arrested last night. According to the police, the suspect had been identified as a relative of the deceased, while an escalated personal dispute is believed to have been the motive behind the murder. The deceased, who was a 43-year-old, was hacked to death with a sharp weapon. Two people were reported dead after an illegal mine collapsed in Rakwana on Friday night. 4 people had been inside the mine at the time of the incident, and 2 of the individuals are still yet to be found. According to the police, the bodies of the 2 individuals who were recovered after the fatal incident were committed to the Kahavatta Base Hospital.
ගොඩමඩ පෙරලි කරන බලපුළුවන් කාරයා මහින්ද්‍රා යුවෝ ඩීමෝ වෙතින්. වැඩම ගොඩයි ගොඩම තමයි. ස්වරාජ් ට්‍රැක්ටර් ඩීමෝ වෙතින්.
අබාස් මිලගණන් දැවැන්ත ලෙස අඩු කළා. අඩුම මිලට අබාස් වෙතින් පමණයි.
ඒත්‍රිත්වයේ තහවුරු කළ විශිෂ්ටත්වය දුෂ්‍යන්ත මහබදුගේ චරිත දිසානායක සමිතරත් නායක සිසිජී නුගේගොඩ ගම්පහ
Physics නිලන්ත ජයසූරිය නවපන්ති ආරම්භය සුසිපුවන් ගම්පහ සීලින් පෙන් නුගේගොඩ සයන්ස් සෙන්ටර් ගාල්ල
පහනුවර කුරුණෑගල කෑකල්ල අංක 1 භෞතික විද්‍යා පාඨමාලාව නුගේගොඩද අතික්‍රමණය කළ වගයි ෆිසික්ස් දර්ශන ඔකුවෙල
තනිව යන ගමනට නිවැරදි ගිනුම් කරන මග හේමාල් පෙරේරා
Welcome back. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena reiterates the Sri Lankan government's commitment towards maintaining gender equality and women empowerment. He made these comments while addressing the Top 50 Global Awards 2023 ceremony as the chief guest of the event. This comes on the back of the country manager of the International Finance Corporation, Alejandro Alvarez de la Campa, praising Sri Lanka's financial inclusion strategy, which focuses on gender.
The Top 50 Global Awards 2023 ceremony, organised by Women in Management, was held last evening in Colombo under the patronage of Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. Entrepreneur Lakmini Vijayasundara received the award for the Business Role Model of the Year, and Nadika Upata was awarded the Career Role Model of the Year. Dinusha Bhaskaran received the award for the Corporate Leader of the Year. IMF's former Director of Institute for Capacity Development, Dr. Shamini Kure, was awarded the Inspirational Woman of the Year in Economics and Leadership, while Dr. Pramila Senanayaka received the award for the Inspirational Woman of the Year in the medical category.
A lot of people think when it comes to women, it's about women's rights. We have more rights than men. The day we start to believe and practice, we do not have to have anything called women empowerment. Because when men are empowered, they will accept us. Why we need women empowerment? Because when men are not empowered.
As our government is fully committed to the policy of gender equality and women empowerment, there are a lot to be achieved as we go along. The decision makers have to give the necessary recognition to all these upset. Sri Lanka, if I may mention, faced an unprecedented economic crisis. And under the presidency of Ranil Wickremesinghe, President, we are on the path of a very slow recovery. Globally too, economic slowdown has shaken the world, especially in food, water, income generation that firstly has the biggest effect on women. We look forward to improving financial literacy across the board.
Women are resilient, and this country is an example of how people can be resilient crisis after crisis. The World Bank has done studies which indicate that if you increase labor force participation of females in certain countries that have a low participation, and Sri Lanka is one of those cases with around 34% labor force participation, can increase GDP up to 26%. We're very proud to say that Sri Lanka now has a financial inclusion strategy that focuses on gender.
The Australian government has invested $13 million over 6 years to support Sri Lankan businesses to improve their performance in employing, promoting and supporting women. We also aim to increase access to financial services for women and women-owned MSMEs, and to strengthen linkages with women in selected supply chains. Creating more and better jobs for women is not only good for women, it is good for business and drives growth across the globe.
In other news, the founder and visionary of Business Network International, Dr. Ivan Meisner, commented that future success of Sri Lankan businesses needs to hold the vision of its experience as a priority and not the oncoming obstacles. During a visit in Sri Lanka this past week, Dr. Meisner, the father of modern networking, as he is also known, delivered a keynote address regarding the potential future impact of Sri Lanka in the global playing field. Addressing the audience, Dr. Meisner also enlightened local business owners by sharing his techniques for the future development of the local businesses by successfully employing networking as a way of navigating through economically tough times.
The CEO Forum titled Building a Global Sri Lanka, Networking the Way Forward, featuring the visionary behind Business Network International Dr. Ivan Meisner, took place recently in Colombo with the participation of more than 150 business owners. The forum highlighted the importance of modern networking techniques for success in the current competitive business world. Dr. Ivan Meisner enlightened the audience with the various ways the businesses can improve and embrace new networking strategies to stay relevant and be successful.
Business people in tough times either get frozen by fear or they get focused by fear. If you get focused by fear, you can be successful. If you get frozen by fear, join the crowd, because most people end up staying frozen by fear. Hold the vision, not the obstacles. There are always obstacles. Were there obstacles 10 years ago? Yeah. Were there obstacles during COVID? Yes. Are there obstacles today? Yes. Do you think there'll be obstacles tomorrow? Yes. Throughout the whole process, hold the vision, not the obstacle. And when you hold the vision and you hold it tight, you can get through the obstacles.
I'm Jonathan Benedict, and that's all the news I have for you today. Join us again tomorrow at the same time on Sri Lanka's premier news channel, AdaDerana English News, first at 9. Have a good night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit AdaDerana.lk.